Hi everyone, I'm Sharayah with Reiki Fort Collins, and you can find out more about me and my work in the description box below. Today's topic is a very profound topic of grief. I really want to take a moment to focus on the fact that grief is a very physical body sensation and process. If we think about the nervous system, for example, the nervous system is responsible for our emotional states, our hormones and the release of chemicals, and how we feel in our bodies. So if you think about an automatic thermostat in a home, if it gets too cold, the temperature will click on to elevate it. And if it gets too warm, then the temperature will click on to cool it. So imagine with me, the nervous system is constantly in this flux of I feel good and balanced to I feel really angry and hyper intense to I feel low, sad, and depressed. And as we go out through the day, these fluctuations in temperature are the emotional and nervous system adaptation to our environment. Remember that thermostat, okay? Grief hits. Grief is like a crazy storm, and depending on the degree of the storm, tearing in and around the house. So your body is the house. And depending on the severity of the storm, the severity of the loss, the ability for us to automatically set our thermometers up or down is severely impacted, which means that the nervous system either really shuts down and goes into what is called hypo awareness, or it really cranks up anger, and that's hyper awareness. Okay. Oftentimes, grieving people experience a huge fluctuation in those temperatures or emotional spaces or emotional responses as they have to build around their grieving experience, their grieving process. This is literally what is happening to the body. The body gets hit with grief like a storm hitting a house. There's damage there. You have to go out and hire repairmen to, hook up the electricity, do the repairs on the house, maybe go out and replant some of your garden. Grief is very much this way. It creates and wreaks havoc, and there's an entire process where one has to first metabolize the fact that this has happened, and then the rebuilding process happens after that. Because we are not really geared in Western culture to grieve, and in full body grieving, we are still not super understanding of all of our emotional states. Depending on the generation you come from, maybe feeling emotions is completely foreign. So naturally, because again, nervous system, emotional states are tied together, if we're not used to feeling through and expressing those great emotional waves safely, then it gets stuck in our bodies and our bodies will constrict around it. And oftentimes people can get frozen around their grief. Either it's caused a lot of anger and it's explosive, or it causes a lot of shutdown. And, for example, someone who has a really hard time getting out of bed or doesn't feel motivated or lacks a zest for life, or someone who is in that hyper arousal state, they're just constantly angry and they want to lash out. And all of this to say that the body, in essence, is hurting. It's dealing with a lot of pain that it doesn't really know how to resolve. And it causes a lot of stress. And that fight flight syndrome can be very wonky until a person is supported through the process of rebuilding. In my practice as a Reiki practitioner, grief also has a spiritual component and an energy component. So not only do we form bonds in our physical body, in our nervous system to other people, we also have spiritual bonds. And kind of going back to the electricity component, if you have a live wire that's been cut, okay, and it's sparking out both ends, that's really kind of how those energy cords present themselves in grief. It's the yearning, the reaching for something, and it's being met with that space, that disconnected place, that gap of communication. So, in a way, it really is raw, it's vulnerable, and those cords of energy kind of flail around until the healing process allows them to kind of reintegrate into the body. And all of the ways that you connected with that person also lives inside of you, and you become a living example, a living memory of that other human being or a pet. Could be both. Those qualities of that relationship, no matter, if it was a great one or maybe not so great one, those qualities continue to live inside of us through the healing and the spiritual energy component. If you are someone who's new in grief and just is finding yourself completely lost in the process, please reach out to someone with support, either a grieving community, a grieving counselor, a Reiki practitioner, an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, someone within your community to support you, because the worst thing we can do is isolate. And I really do mean this. Even if we are introverted people that rather just grieve by ourselves, even if it's to find one trusted person to support that process, then we feel less alone. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.